Hmm. All right, here we go. Good evening, everybody that's watching this on Facebook land, setting up my other computer, ensuring that we can get some engagement. Part three, part three, y'all. We have made it. I'm looking for the event itself so I can put this title on this video. So those that are watching, I need for them to know what they watch. Uh, nope. Maybe I can't use that. All right. We'll get started in a second. Well, it is 7:30. So let's title this and then let's go. Part three, the finale. Part three, y'all. Part three, like and share. Like and share. Like says that you support. It's not saying that you're going to agree with everything that's said. It's saying that you support. And sharing is caring. You know, what's being said or some of the methods and techniques and ideologies that we share, it could help somebody. We just never really know. We never really know. We will go until 8:30. My apologies. We were supposed to start at 7. Left out from the computer to run an errand. The weather caught. I intentionally put that we would start at 7:30 using my phone. It didn't post. I apologize for that because we want to make sure that we are professional as possible. This is not a pattern that we subscribe to as far as being tardy. When we say we're gonna start something at a certain time, we're gonna start at a certain time. No further ado, I'm gonna share my screen. Share my screen. Go through some. We talked about a lot in the past 2 weeks. Excuse my drink because I want to stay. This is just a natural, organic conversation. Bridging the summer gaps of parents or a guide to parents, for parents, to strengthen your child's academic resilience and positive behavior during the break, which basically turns into bridging the gap. A parent's guide to enhancing their child's academic success and behavior. So our goal is to bridge the gap. Our goal is to provide a guide to help parents strengthen their child's academic success and behavior. For specifically our high schools, Joliet Central and Joliet West, they start tomorrow. It's either tomorrow or Wednesday. I think it is tomorrow. Other suburbs and school districts of families that we associate with, some of those kids start Wednesday. Other districts that we associated with, they've already started last week. So at least by Wednesday, specifically in Will County, Will and DuPage County, students will already have started school. It's important to set a, a tone, a strong tone in the beginning of the school year. It is important to set a strong tone with your child in the beginning of the school year. And when I say tone, I mean habits. And we'll talk about some of the tools that I use personally that will keep those habits strong, foundation, and consistent throughout the school year. But it is extremely important whether your child is in elementary, middle school, or high school. It's extremely important. So let's flow through this because we won't touch on everything, but I will do a review, you know, just in case for people who haven't been here in the past couple of weeks, they may not went to YouTube and seen what we've been downloading. But basically, this is an interactive education and training session to explore the concept of unconscious competence and its practical application in fostering children's learning development. Learning and development to combat summer learning loss. Parents will gain insight into the 4 stages of competence, highlighting the importance of recognizing and supporting their child's journey. Our kids, and this is one of the first things that I will share with you, and I'm going to go into this statement a little bit more elaboration as we journey on through tonight's session. Our kids suffer learning loss because they don't understand the difference between academics and education. There is a difference, and I'm sure some of us adults don't know, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way. When I say don't know, I mean experientially. I don't mean knowing your concepts. I don't mean you knowing your ideas, your information. I'm saying the experience. And we'll talk about that as we go more into this conversation. By understanding how skills are developed and internalized. If I'm watching this, I'm I'm writing out these two words or typing them out. Developed and internalized. When a skill is identified, the importance of that skill is identified. That skill or transferable skills associated with that skill can be developed and internalized. Parents can adopt strategies that promote effective learning habits, enhance academic performance, and encourage positive behavior patterns during the summer break, as we transition into the first day of school. I gave that example of identifying, developing, and internalizing because let's just say that Marcus, I don't like math. I don't like that skill, but there are transferable skills connected to that skill that's not only going to help me in school, but it's going to help me in life. Focusing, concentration, commitment, discipline, consistency, follow through. These are all transferable skills that's connected with the topical concept of math. Even though if I don't like it, it doesn't matter because there's other skills that I'm learning as I'm in this class. These skills are implicit. They may not be explicit. They may not be, the teacher may not say, hey, this is a transferable skill that you learn. He or she may not go that route. But if they don't, as parents, we can highlight that to them and say, hey, you learning the skill of a transferable skill of discipline, commitment, follow through. And this will help you long term as you associate it with what you really want to do. So we develop that, and development is done over a period of time. And when it's developed enough, it becomes internalized. And that's when we reach the final stage of competence. So if you're a parent and you're taking notes, or if you're watching this, live stream, it's important that even though if the child does not like the subject, he or she still needs to know the skill that that subject brings and the other transferable skills associated with that subject itself. So we got to highlight that for them. And we got to continue to highlight it so it can be developed, so they can intentionally develop the skill whether it be the technical skills as far as math or the skills associated with that subject. So those skills can be internalized. Yep, those skills have to be internalized. Regression refers to the loss of academic skills and knowledge that often occurs during extended breaks, such as a summer break. I'm sorry, summer vacation. Research indicates that students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, tend to experience substantial regression in crucial subjects like math and reading over the summer month. Why? Why does that occur? We're going to talk about it. Hint, hint, environment. Environment. So we're going to skate through all that stuff about my background and myself and divine works. This, and so I need to make sure that I touch on check your battery. Students should always be checking their battery. I can't say if their teachers are doing this or not, whether it's in elementary, middle, or high school. I can't say that. But I can say that in our program for teaching, we always do check your battery because it's connected to their emotional intelligence. You can't just check your battery once throughout the day. That battery has to be continually checked. How am I feeling? Empty, great, good, struggling. It allows the student, your child, to be self-aware. And if I'm self-aware, and I say this all the time, if I'm self-aware, then I can be socially aware. But if I'm not self-aware and something comes at me, and because I'm not aware, I perceive it as a threat, it's going to be a situation. It's going to be a flight. This is something new, a new concept that people may not be aware of. You can either flight, leave, fight, verbally and non-verbally, freeze, shut down, or forward. I want your child, our students, to be able to go forward. And in order to go forward, they have to be self-aware. If they're not self-aware, it's going to be flight, it's going to be fight, or it's going to be freeze. But when I say forward, I mean that the behavior that those individuals demonstrate allow them to move forward in their life as it relates to growth. I don't want to touch on that, but we want to move our children. I will touch on that because one of the groups that I was involved in the past week, I asked the kids how they were. They said, okay, cool, and it was another word. I said, I'm taking up, well, yeah, it was okay, cool, and one other word. I said, I'm taking them three words from you, and I want you to describe how you feeling. Example, I feel amazing, and then I associate the experience with that amazing. It moves them out of the mundane vocabulary that we all accustomed to using, and it stresses them to use new vocabulary words, but also examples or experience related to those words. So now it's just a natural process of conversation that we have it now. This is our norm. We don't say good in this house. We don't say okay. We don't say cool, amazing, outstanding. Why you feel outstanding today? Associated with the experience you had at school. Conversation, natural. And regression occurs, in my professional opinion, because we have school limited to the four walls of the building. And it is. Education is not. So when the walls of the institution called school come down externally and internally, what remains is education. We don't want to go into that because that's going to be too long for us today, but we are scrolling through. I will highlight this real fast. For some students, school may dampen their enthusiasm for learning. So the motivation for education should transcend merely earning a degree and foster a sincere passion for experiential knowledge, which in essence is wisdom. Many of us as adults, and I may have touched on this last week, We only go to school to get a degree to increase our pay rate. And absolutely not. Unacceptable for me to you. That can be a motivation, but the reality of it is it shouldn't be a primary motivation. If it's a primary motivation, then the likelihood that I will only read and study for the degree enhances. And because my child, he or she may be a product of their environment, they're going to move how I move. They're going to move how they see me move. So if reading and studying is not a part of my natural habitation or habitat or environment, then my kids will suffer and not know it. So that's something to think about. That is something to consider. Let me see if anybody is jumping in on this. All right, moving forward, I don't want to touch on that. I want to stay fresh. We do need to touch on this because this is a part of the motivation. So if any teachers are watching this, whatever grade that you teach, it can be pre-K, it can be K, it can be elementary, it could be junior high, it could be high school. This is a very important statement, and we'll build from this. The heart or core of a child is found in their imagination and dreams. The core of a child is found in their imagination and dreams. These qualities nurture their sense of purpose and help them connect the dots, the current experience to future possibilities. That's where we fall victim at. That's where the institution, externally and internally of school, falls short because it does not allow that mentality that's been ingrained, does not connect the dots for the young person, and the dots are not connected, they're going to be demotivated or unmotivated. It's going to be a boring routine that they're going to go through the motions. They're not going to give their all to it. Their perspective goes beyond just academics. When these qualities are nurtured, it brings a sense of purpose and connects the dots. This viewpoint goes beyond academics and the walls of the classrooms. It also has a positive impact their understanding in both academic and behavioral learners. I understand now because I can connect the dots. You've helped me connect the dots, Ms. Harriet. I appreciate you. I have a sense of purpose. I understand why I'm here. I understand the ramifications of if I do A, B, or C, if I do or don't do. I'm understanding the ramifications. It still may be in the form of information. It may not be experience as of yet, but I get it now. And that increases the likelihood of positive behavior. Positive behavior is not behavior that's good or bad. Positive behavior from me to you is behavior that adds momentum to the child's destination. But in order to have a destination, you first must have a goal. In order to have a goal, you must have a dream. Your dream is bigger than a diploma. We're going to touch on that. Let me see if I need to highlight the dream. I don't believe we do. We can move forward from that. So I want to get into some new stuff. This is our potential, us introducing the program. We won't labor through that. We won't labor through that. We did that. We covered a lot of ground, y'all. Moving through my brother, Mr. Krim. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Oh, I hope this don't. Hmm. Okay, this is where we left off at. Let me stop this because I want to see. I want to kind of, okay, we're going to be good. Okay, we good. Thank you, Lord. I want to touch on, I don't know, which is going to set the foundation for us to move forward. I'm checking the screen just to see. I'm going to check my device to see if the team is on their way. Oh, it says when I click on that, it says the host. Uh-oh. Don't know what's going on. All right, let me stop share. Try to get these people in here. Give me 1 sec, y'all. Be patient with a brother. Oh, okay, I see. Let us see. Try to get my people in. And then we're gonna start from I don't know. I was wondering why the team had jumped in yet. All right, hopefully that will help them get in where they fit in. All right, I'll check on them shortly. Let's go. Share my screen. Gotta lock in. Let's lock in. The current slide. So I know we touched on this a bit, and I've been in this situation myself, and I've been in this situation in various ways, y'all. I've been in this situation as a parent, I've been in this situation as a coach, I've been in this situation as a teacher, I've been in this situation as a mentor slash life coach, being a intermediary. Is that how you pronounce that word? Or just being in the middle? Being in the middle of a parent asking a child, why did they do something? And the reasons children respond, well, I don't know, is sometimes it can just be mirror out manipulation. They don't want to be held accountable to what they did because they know what they did was wrong and it wasn't something that they was taught. Or it could be fear of repercussions. If mom or dad is looking mean and they understand what has happened before, excuse me, from a discipline standpoint, then I don't want to own that. It can be lack of development in terms of cognitive skills, and then I don't know, also could just be habits that they're familiar with, or habits that just on autopilot. So we touched on the uncompetent competence. I'm sorry, the unconscious competence, which is I know what I know. I don't have to think about what I know. I know what I know because I've mastered this skill to the extent that it's become second nature. So I can perform it effortlessly without conscious thought. Often I can multitask without compromising the performance. The skill has been, see that word, internalized so deeply that it is carried out automatically, similar to the way an experienced driver may navigate and react without consciously thinking each step. So you can drive home, you can drive your car from wherever to home without even thinking about it because you do it so much, especially if you live locally and your job is locally. Let's say, for example, I live in Joliet. I drive to one school, I drive to the other school. Well, me driving to the school, I don't gotta think about it, and me driving from school, I don't gotta think about it because it's something that I do every day. And that's the same concept. This is a different example, but the same concept that we highlighted that we want our kids to experience unconscious competence. Performing a skill, it just becomes automatic. So this is the way the decision making should go as well. Decisions and actions related to the skill are made intuitively. That's why potential specializes in helping kids think before they do. So autopilot means I'm acting without thinking about what I'm doing, usually because I've done it so many times before. And because I've done it so many times before, it has become automatic. It's no longer, there's no thought put to it because now it's a lifestyle. So to become unconsciously competent, y'all, there go that word again, identify. We must identify the skill, recognize or be aware of its importance, in addition to committing to consistent practice and dedication. This is how these habits are developed. So we got to identify the skill and the importance of the skill. We recognize it, we identify it. We got to commit to consistent practice and dedication. And as we develop this skill, it's gonna come from unconscious competence, unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. Unconscious competence says that you are aware of that you are unaware of the skill and your lack of proficiency. So you don't know what you don't know. And then as you move down the chain, you become consciously competent. You know what? You are aware of the skill, but I'm not proficient. So I'm aware of the skill, but I still need to practice. Conscious competence said that you are aware, you are able to use the skill, but only with effort. So I'm getting better, but I still need a little effort to get it to where it's at its optimal level. But unconscious competence, I can proficiently conduct this skill and I don't gotta think about it because I did it so many times. It's a part of who I am. So here we go. We touched on this a little bit, but we didn't go into depth with it. Muscle memory in the context of classroom behavior refers to repetitive actions or behaviors that become automatic or ingrained through repetition and practice. Now, I will say this. This can happen where your child can be robotic, but you don't want your child to be robotic because if the child is robotic, he or she may only respond that way if they're in a certain environment. And that is called behavior modification. In reality, we don't want our kids to be subjected to behavior modification for an extended period of time. Because if they are, their behavior will change based on the environment and based on the people in that environment. If the child is in an environment where behavior modification starts off, the ideal situation, they should internalize that behavior. But they only internalize the behavior when they identify the skill and the importance of the skill where the skill can be developed. If they don't identify the skill and we don't identify the skill for them and the importance associated with the skill, it will not be internalized and it will not be on autopilot. It will not go into unconscious competence and it'll be one of those situations where they only use it in that particular environment. That is the downside of behavior modification. I'm tapping the team again. See if they get in. For example, students may develop muscle memory for behaviors such as raising their hands to answer questions, staying engaged during lectures, or following classroom routines. Through repeated practice, these behaviors become second nature, making it easy for students to focus on learning and practice actively in class without needing to consciously think about their actions. Now, that's something that's real tricky because I would rather students raise their hands not to get acknowledgement, but to share the answer that they critically thought through. I would rather build an environment where students are critically thinking and they're in a safe environment where they're not afraid to raise their hands. I don't want environments as an educator, I'm saying me specifically, where students are just raising their hand just because they want to be recognized. I need you to have a valid answer, something that you really have thought thoroughly about. But I know that that safe environment has to be created first. And even at home, the environment has to be, if the environment of learning, of education has to be cultivated at home. If my child does not have confidence to share his or her perspective at home, it's going to be problematic. It can be problematic. Trying to see what's going on the live. Trying to see what's going on the live. Let me share this in the group. This is where the meat and potatoes is at. Excuse me. So we're going to take our time. I'm going to explain this as thoroughly as I can. But I'm sharing to different groups and I'm a part of it. This may be a controversial statement, but I am going to explain it. Let's see. Now, I am going to explain this, y'all, for real. All right, let's go. Stop. So school is tomorrow. Kids go back to school tomorrow. Stop going back to school. Go forward in education. So do not mistaking school or mistaking school for learning. Now let me go back to this first statement. The question, parents, that you have to ask your child is this: are you ready to go back to school? Some of them are going to say no. When they say no, we got to listen to why. The why that you hear from them is a teaching moment for us. But what I'm saying in context is stop going back to school. Stop going back to the institutionalized mindset and environment of school. I want families and young people to go forward in education. Remember, in context of what I'm explaining, is that education is left when the four walls of school fall down, internally and externally. The school, we're not talking about the building, we're talking about the system. So one of the reasons why some students don't want to go back to school because they're going back to the same routine. But when we as educators, superintendents, principals, assistant principals, counselors, teachers open up the door and say to them, well, education can happen in school, but it also can happen outside of school. Once those walls are knocked down, I can look forward to something. Check it out. I can look forward to it because it's connected to where my life is going. We have to place emphasis on connecting the dots for these kids or helping them connect the dots, which is going to bring relevancy to them. And if I'm coming somewhere where it's relevant for me, it's important, I'm going to be motivated to come. Do not mistake in school for learning. So this is what I mean when I say this. Many times I'll be in educational or I'll be in academic environments and I'll ask kids what they learned. And then they'll tell me. And I'll tell them, well, you know you really didn't learn anything. And this is why I say this. Learning is experience. Everything else is just information. So I'm going to make sure I clean this up as far as what I'm saying, because I don't want my fellow teachers to be upset with me, when I'm making these statements, because I don't want to discredit the rigor they went through to get to the point where they are to teach our kids. So here we go. So these are clarifying thoughts that I'm gonna bring to us in terms of school versus education. So please pay close attention to what I'm gonna try to convey, because this is where the meat is at. Look at my computer because it's doing other stuff. It's doing other stuff that I don't want it to do. Here we go. Let me go back to this thing. This is crucial. This is every conversation, every exercise, every piece of participation that we've asked from who's watching this. This segment next is the most important by far. Seriously, it's the most important by far. It's the most important by far because us as parents have been subjected to this theory and this concept of learning. And what has occurred is that we've become too reliant on the school and the people within the school to educate our kids because of the understanding or the mindset that we've accepted. I'm gonna tell you why. So learning, this is true learning right here, y'all. Learning by doing uses the practice as its primary tool. which appeals to two essential factors, emotions, such as stress, surprise, or joy, which are triggered when we try to act, and risk, since if we're in a situation where we can fail, humans are capable of remembering and correcting mistakes. What that means to us is that we are in the situation. When we learn by doing, we are in the situation. So the learning pyramid goes is this. And this is how we bridge the gap. So if there's a gap in your child's academic progress and or behavior, this could be why. Learning pyramid, 5% lecture. This is retention. So average retention rate after 24 hours. So if I taught with you or to you, it's 5%. 10% reading, 20% audio visual, 30% us doing a demonstration, 50% discussion in the group, 75% learning by doing, and 90% teaching others. How can we bridge the gap as parents? We have to focus on group discussions in the family and learning by doing. What you learn, put it into application. And then you know what, son, teach me. I want you to teach me. Because in teaching, in order to really teach something, and this is a bomb that I'm gonna drop on us. In order to truly teach something, I have to have experience with that material. I'm not saying that you study the material. I'm saying that the material that you've been exposed to has to be applied in a real world situation in order for you to be able to teach it. All that. In order for you to be able to teach it, you have to have a real world experience with that information. If not, then it's just going to be information. It's not going to be experience. So how do we bridge the gap as parents? Well, we can go through all these portions. We can read. We can do the audio visual. But when we get to the crux of the matter, it has to be a discussion within a group setting. It could be a discussion one-on-one. It could be a discussion with 3 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us in a group setting at the kitchen table. We got to make time to do this. Get away from these cell phones, get away from Netflix, get away from YouTube, and get more engaged into having that conversation at the dinner table. Now that we did it, I want you to go out and do it. Your homework is to go out and apply what we talked about. And when you apply it, come back and share with me what you got. And then once you get the fruit of it or the end result of what you applied, I want you to teach others. I want you to become the mentor, the coach, the leader. That's extremely important. That increases retention, and that's how we're gonna bridge the gap. This is when preparation meets opportunity, and this is a monumental piece in our conversation today. Let me see. There's some little heavy stuff. It's heavy, but it's heavy, but it's simplistic. So I'm explaining it in a simplistic way. But if we really try and get these concepts, methods, and strategies to implement and implementation consistently, oh, you're gonna see an improvement in your child. So Kobe always understood it. Preparation meets opportunity, right? But when we look at it from a education standpoint in relation to academics, preparation meets opportunity. What occurs specifically in Black communities, because I'm speaking from that experience, is we put too much emphasis on sports. Entirely too much emphasis on sports. And no knock to my coaches, because I'm connected to AAU coaches. I'm connected to coaches in middle school and high school. So this is no knock towards any one of them, male or female specifically. I'm speaking in general. We are not doing a good job at highlighting these skills that our kids are learning in sports: teamwork, discipline, commitment, et cetera, et cetera. This is my opinion. I don't think that we are. But I am saying, and I am saying this is not my professional opinion. This is from my observation. We put a lot of emphasis on sports when we talk about preparation and opportunity. But you see a potential, we flipped it. Preparation, a young man reading outside transforms into opportunity. He's become the teacher. He's become the teacher. And so for the great, there is no such thing as an off season. So as we go into this new school year, I'm challenging myself as a parent, and I'm challenging other parents, grandparents, parents, and grandchildren. My challenge for us is that if we want our children to be great as it relates to education and connected to academics, there is no such thing as an off season. They can take a break, but there's no such thing as an off season. If we do any research on any profession, whether they be an athlete, whether they be an entertainer, whether they be an educator, whether they be a scientist, whether they be an engineer, you can research any one of these individuals, whether they be a financial investor, a banker, whatever it is, in order to reach greatness. You cannot take, there's no such thing as an off season. There's time off that you take 1 or 2 weeks, but the great in any area of life that you want to look at, streaming from professional banker to an athlete, there is no off season. Oops, I'm thinking of the wrong thing, and that's why. Okay, so that is something for us to consider as we come into the home stretch of this last. It's about we got about 3 more segments to go to complete this. But I really want to emphasize that it's going to take us as parents getting out of our comfort zone. It's going to take that everybody in your household is going to have to stretch if we're going to bridge this gap. We're not going to bridge the gap solely relying on our teachers. These people are teaching. They got classes of 5, 10, 15, 12, all the way up to 30. And you are interacting with different kids, the same kids with different attitude, different mindsets every day for 9 months. No, they supposed to be helping us. We're not supposed to be helping them. We're supposed to be helping each other. But the primary teaching has to come from the parent. Now we going into the last portion. Let me know if y'all got anything y'all want to share in the comment section. Feel free before we go into this last one, two, oh yeah, three. Yep, we got about 3 seconds left. We get into the home stretch, y'all. From the current slide, I kind of wait a little bit. I'll wait maybe like 1 minute. So I want to make sure that we finish on time today. So even though we started late, I apologize for that again. In Western culture, as Americans, we are always doing. Let's just be. We are always working in relation to service. I was just in a I wasn't just in a conversation, but I mentioned to one of my colleagues that we work a lot in terms of service, working income, but we got to transition into passive income in order to get free. And not to go into that tangent, just I'm gonna stay true to the dimension that I'm speaking in, is we are always doing let's just be. We can be more effective in life if we just take time to intentionally be silent and meditate. So this is what I would give to you for yourself and your child, no matter what age they are. We utilize VMA, visualization, meditation, and affirmation to empower middle and high school students to achieve their dream and succeed in school, college, careers, and beyond. Visualization and meditation exercise help students manage anxiety related to academic expectations, friendships, relationships, and peer pressure while balancing their academic and sports commitment. Why? Because they are centered, they released and taking a deep breath, inhale, exhale, which releases the weight that we take on throughout the day through our different interactions, through getting to the locker. I can't find this book. I don't know my locker combination. There are many different anxieties that students experience throughout the day. And these little bitty obstacles in these situations can build up where a student can explode if he or she does not take the time to take a couple deep breaths. Human beings, not human doings. Yes, sir. So remember, is visualization, meditation, and affirmation. Let's go into the exercise. So what happens when you're doing this exercise with your child or your students? There's going to be at least 4 squares that you will see. You can do this, educators, you can do this in the beginning of class. Mom, dad, you can do this before the child leaves out. And you can do it in the evening as well. It should become a norm. You go square 1, white, square 2, pink, square 3, red, and square 4, blue. You have seen these 4 squares. I want you to take a little time, close your eyes, and take a couple of deep breaths in and out. And what happens is that we take them through this exercise at least 3 iterations, taking deep breaths in and blowing it out. Inhale, exhale. Inhale again, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Open up. Okay. I want you to close your eyes again. And I want you to follow my voice through the colors of the squares. And then we'll go red, white, white, pink, blue, red, white, blue, and pink. And what's that? What is that doing? It gives them the power to be able to visualize and hold an image. And if you can visualize and hold an image, that lets me know that your cognitive ability is getting stronger in relation to you being able to focus. And so with all the noise that our kids have to deal with, some noise they are constantly aware of, some noise they are not. This gives them the tools and the practical application to command and control their day. The other part of the exercise we normally do on the front end is having them go through the deep breath iterations, and then just sitting silent for at least 30 seconds to a minute. And then the question is, once they open up their eyes, what did you hear? Most times students are going to say they hear everything outside of them. Then I have to rephrase the question. What do you hear inside of you? And so meditation is the art of listening to your inner self. Sometimes they can't connect to that unless you give them an example. And I'll say to them, well, have you ever had a situation where something told you not to do something? And like, yeah, okay. Well, that's you being able to listen to your conscience inside. Visualization, and this is a statement that we do share with them. Visualization is the process of making mental images, and the image is the mode or model which will serve as a pattern from which your future will emerge. Jazz, whatever you want your future to look like, I got you. I'm gonna give you the tools and I'm gonna show you how to use the tools. It's totally up to you. Whatever that dream is, whatever that imagination is you have inside of you, if you dedicate 3 to 5 minutes daily on taking some time for quiet time and visualizing and being still and being quiet and affirming, if that dream or imagination is connected to your purpose, it will materialize eventually. How do I know? I'm a product of it. I still do this, and I used to do it very strong in my what early to mid 30s. I would be in quiet time forever. I used to have affirmation cards in my pocket on my way to work, just pulling them out, boom. And that's how I end up like memorizing scripture and a lot of things because I was intentional in my efforts. So remember, y'all, visualization is the process of making mental images, and the image is the mold or model which serve as a pattern for which your future will emerge. Charles F. Handel. A survey of students published by the APA in 2023 concluded that students regularly using visualization techniques to set academic and career goals reported being 30% more likely to follow through on their plans as compared to those who did not employ such strategies. Why? Because you building up, you framing your world when you going through these exercises. Any exercise that we do constantly, I'm sorry, any exercise that we do consciously or subconsciously is going to equate to that muscle getting stronger. Doesn't matter what the muscle is. It could be a mental muscle, it could be a physical muscle. Doesn't matter. As you continue to do stuff, it gets stronger. It becomes ingrained in who you are. You reach unconscious competence from a psychological standpoint. We always want to reach that last stage in whatever it is that we put our hands to if we are going to be great. So here goes the affirmations. These affirmations are not said in silence. They're not spoken internally. They have to be verbalized. So I can't see. Let me see. Okay. This too shall pass. Failure is great feedback. I am confident about solving life's problems successfully. I learn from my challenges and always find ways to overcome them. Everything works out for the best possible good. I press on because I believe in my path. If I can conceive it and believe it, I can achieve it. The future is good, and I look forward to it with hope and happiness. I can do whatever I focus my mind on. I follow my dreams no matter what. All my problems have solutions, and I am open to all possibilities. You think that if your child and you affirm that every day, that something not going to change? Oh, yeah, it is. The visualization, the meditation, and the affirmation, you combine those three, yeah, it's going to be that gap is going to get bridged. So from the research standpoint, the National Library of Science, potential pathways to self-affirmation. One account of why self-affirmations are successful is attributed to their ability to broaden a person's overall perspective and reduce the effect of negative emotions. For example, researchers have suggested that self-affirmations remind individuals of psychological or psychosocial resources that extend beyond a specific threat, which allows them to focus on sources of positive self-worth that transcends the threat. This in turn is thought, this in turn is thought to reduce reactivity to the threat and protect overall psychological well-being. So basically saying that I'm on the offensive now. I'm affirming who I am. And so when I affirm who I am, I build confidence in who I am. And if I run into a perceived threat, it's not much as a threat because I understand who I am. So it extends beyond the specific threat, which allows them to focus on sources of positive self-worth internally. And it transcends the threat. So I'm not fearful. Because I go through this visualization, I go through this meditation, I go through this affirmation, and as I'm speaking aloud, I'm speaking it to myself. It's basically like like a farmer sowing a seed into his own ground, his or her, and watering it. What's going to come from it? Some fruit is going to be produced. So here we go. Let me take a sidebar and see what the feedback may be. We coming in a home stretch. Yeah.